morning, Karen Butler with Shoot Like a Girl. We are so excited to be here today. Krista's going to join us in a minute. She is on a phone conference meeting, which is a very important meeting with one of our partners. And look who we have here. We have Miss Diane Chambers from Project Appleseed. And hi, Diane. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How is everybody this morning?
Oh my gosh, it is such a great day. It's Monday. We made it. No, it's Friday. It's Friday. It's someday. I don't know, but I can't keep track of the days of the week anymore. But it is Friday, and I am ready for the weekend. It's last weekend. I'm going to have a chance to go turkey hunting in Tennessee, so I plan to get out there and spend most of my weekend in the woods. I hope so. I'm excited. I'm so glad you're here because we've got a lot of experienced shooters and a lot of new shooters that follow us. And Project Appleseed is such an interesting program. Can you start out giving us a little, what is Project Appleseed about?
Project Appleseed is a history and heritage organization that teaches the fundamental, American tradition of skilled rifle marksmanship. And we also teach the history and heritage of the founding of our country. And, most people don't think about how, rifle marksmanship played such a role in the founding of our country, but it really, it was fundamental in our defeating the British and gaining our independence. And so we consider that just an American tradition that everyone should understand and have an opportunity to at least try.
Yeah. And so when someone comes, well, first off, how did you get involved in Project Appleseed? Like, you have a long history with it, don't you?
Well, I have a history of about 5 years with it, and I knew about Project Appleseed for much longer than that. My father and actually my mother as well were involved, and my father's still involved since about 2007 or 8, about the time the program was founded. And he talked to me about it for years, and I was a very busy mom and soccer mom and Boy Scout mom. But when my younger son got very interested in firearms and things, I said, well, obviously Project Appleseed is the thing to do. So, like any mom, I try to support my kids and their interests. And so I went to Project Appleseed and sort of history was written after that. It's hard to go to Project Appleseed and hear the stories of the history and not decide that you want to take the next step and become involved in it. And my son is an instructor in training, and I've continued to be an instructor. My father is very active. He's one of the master instructors in the country. There are about 8 active master instructors in the country, and so he's very excited to have all of us involved.
That's great. So if I go to Project Appleseed event, what can I expect? Like, if I'm a new shooter, or even if I've shot, but I certainly don't know all of the history behind it. Do I need to study in advance, or do I just show up?
You can just show up. We pride ourselves. We are a family-friendly organization, and if you're an experienced shooter, we can teach you some additional skills, we believe. But if you're an inexperienced shooter, we are very welcoming to you. And it's not necessary to have your own rifle. Most of the places you go in the country, you can request a loaner rifle, and we do ask that you let us know in advance. But most of the instructors travel with equipment that we can loan you at no cost. And just give you that opportunity, and we will train you. We love to see new shooters and help them gain good habits from the very beginning. Sometimes experienced shooters come to us with some habits that inhibit their ability to be accurate in their shooting.
Bad habits? No.
Right? It happens, and I have so many people show up and say, "I've been shooting all my life. This is going to be easy," and then they're a little surprised that it's not quite as easy as they think it is.
So you teach the fundamentals. You teach the fundamentals of marksmanship. And how many positions do you teach in shooting?
Right. We teach what we call the 3 legs of the marksmanship stool, and that would be proper position, and then the 6 steps of firing a shot. So things that you're familiar with as a pistol instructor, sight alignment, sight picture, natural point of aim. Well, natural point of aim is the 3rd leg of that stool. So we teach 3 positions. That is prone, laying on your belly on the ground. We teach seated or kneeling, and standing. And we start from the very beginning. We assume that you don't know anything about that, and we teach the fundamentals. from the very beginning. And our primary goal is safety, right? That is number one. As with any firearms training, I know that you've talked about that extensively, and that is so important to us. And it's the first block of instruction we start with the four safety rules, and so we teach you how to operate on our firing line. And you know, even if you come to us and aren't familiar with the rifle, I can guarantee you that by the end of the weekend or the end of the clinic, you'll be very comfortable with that rifle and be very safe. That's what our instructors are there for, to help you maintain safety. Job number one.
Right. Very cool. We love firearm safety.
Mhm.
So how long is a typical event that you do? Do you have to commit to the whole weekend? Can you commit for a couple hours?
We ask people to commit to an entire weekend, and that's because we have a we have a lot of things to teach. And by the time we teach history, and we teach all the safety, and teach all the positions and give you an opportunity to practice those positions, then we find that it takes most of the weekend. Now, if you're only able to come for the first day, say a Saturday, that's okay. We'll get through all the instruction that way. We spend most of Sunday doing a refresher of all the positions and all the information that we've taught, and then do a lot of practice on what we call the Appleseed qualification test, which I'll be glad to talk to you about that, if
Yeah.
you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm sorry, y'all. I have to mute because there's a terrible storm that it's just a thunderstorm, I think, but it is rolling through here, and the thunder is lasting for like 2 minutes at a time, and it is making the puppies, my dogs, everybody go a little nutso this morning, and I couldn't put them in the kennel because it's pouring rain and lightning out there. So good pet owner. We just, I apologize for my dogs barking. But
Mhm.
I'm so excited about what you're saying. And so, how do we tie the history and the patriotism to that?
To the marksmanship fundamentals.
Yes.
Right. Well, we in Project Appleseed, we're a nonprofit organization, so that means we're non-political. We are not going to talk about modern politics and things. What we are interested in doing is reconnecting Americans with the heritage that we all have from the colonial times. And so we talk about throughout the weekend. We talk about how the uh, the patriots on April 19th, 1775, stepped out of their homes, and they were masters of their firearms. Then they used their firearms to defend their homes and their families, and also to feed their families. And it was that mastery of their firearms that allowed them to really defeat the British, and become an independent instead of colonies of the British. And that's how we tie it in. Um, so we talk about the events that happened on April 19th, 1775. And if you're not familiar with that, I'll tell you that is the opening day of the Revolutionary War. And it's the battles of Lexington and Concord. And if you've heard about, which I hope we've all heard about, Paul Revere's Ride, that occurred on the night of April 18th and into the night of morning of April 19th. And so we talk about the history and the events of that day, and how that the marksmanship really allowed us, and the mastery of that really allowed us to become an independent nation.
Right. And that's so important. And and I'm glad you mentioned that you're nonpartisan. One of the things that we see
Mhm.
in the trailer is that we never we can't ever identify anybody by political affiliation. It
Mhm.
is such a plethora of types and stereotypes of people, if you want to be that way, that we couldn't ever identify it. Although some of those laws that are on the books kind of affect Project Appleseed. I was just thinking about the law that they tried to pass last year where you couldn't loan somebody a rifle. And that would be a tragedy to your program when you're trying to teach, everybody. So hopefully everybody stays aware of those laws without being partisan, but just stays aware of what's happening in terms of our Second Amendment rights and how we can not be partisan and still pay attention to those and let our representatives know what we think about those, because it's kind of important. So Krista told me that even though this has been fundamentally rifle for quite
Mhm.
some time, do you have something with a pistol coming up?
There is a pistol program in development. And I know that Krista has had an opportunity to shoot the targets. Hi, Krista.
Hi.
So, yeah, and that's, we have been working on that for a little over a year now. And, to come up with an entirely new program, it takes a lot of resources and a lot of time. And it's currently in the stages of sort of development and being rolled out to our instructors. It's sort of in a prototype stage. And there are a handful of instructors in the country that are trained in this, and they're going around and training other instructors in the country, and testing out the course of fire. And they've tried to have the course of fire be similar to what we do with the rifle, being teaching the proper positions and the fundamentals of marksmanship, and then having a challenge on sort of a qualification test, if you will. And that's, it's not a test to determine whether you pass the course or not. It's really a challenge against yourself. Is, have I attained this level of marksmanship?
I heard that test might be a little challenging even for experienced shooters.
I think that's what I'm hearing. I think that's what I'm hearing of the pistol program.
But Krista, hey, I want to say hi to you in a second, but I got to ask you a question because I'm seeing things pop up on our feed. What's the deal with these names? Like, I see Tim Dragon Schaefer from Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Hi, Tim. What is, and I think Morgan's Rifleman, I think that's another name maybe. So what are these names? Like, and I saw you have a name, you're
Google.
Yeah, you had to bring that up.
What are the names?
In Project Appleseed, we all go by a nickname. And, usually you choose your own nickname, but I have to tell you that I did not choose the nickname Google. And so, like a lot of nicknames get chosen for you. But, it's a way we communicate on the forum, and we communicate with the shooters, and it just kind of gives us it sort of takes away from our ego. It's just a name. It's Google. It's not, I'm Diana, my background is this and that. It's just like, good morning, everyone. I go by the name of Google, and here I am to teach you, and I'm your instructor for the day. Now, how I got the name is that, just Krista's wearing her orange hat. That's an indication of an instructor in training with Project Appleseed. And back when I was an instructor in training, and a couple other people that I was in training with, a lot of the aspects of Appleseed came easily to me because of my technical background. Anything having to do with, like, there's a little bit of math involved in adjusting your sights. And if you start talking about known distance shooting, which is shooting out to, 1, 2, 3, maybe 500 yards, there's a little bit of math involved in that. And so that was easy for me because of my background. And also because of my job, I do quite a few briefings and, instructing of other people. And so it was a fairly natural fit for me. And so one of the guys that I was in training with was a comedian and said, "Oh, she knows everything. We'll just call her Google." And at the time I thought, "Oh no, please don't do that to me." But he did, and it stuck. And so I'm now Google.
So does that mean we all get to help pick out Krista's name?
I already have a name.
What's your name?
It's Krista Clayton. It's very simple.
I think she needs a new one. I really think.
I think so. I think everyone should comment right now on what name they should call Krista in Project Appleseed as she goes. Hey, we have OG for Old Grunt on here watching. Yep. Okay, that's Chris Webb. So we've got quite a few of your followers watching today. So Krista, what do you have any questions? I know you're coming in late, but we've covered in the basics. We've talked about the rifle class. Somebody mentioned a lady seed. What's that about?
A lady seed is an event just for women. And so instead of having men on the line, we'd just be ladies as students. And ideally, it would be all women instructors. We can't always manage that because, across the country, we don't have enough women always, but we certainly put ladies as the primary instructors and have men there in a supporting role. And it's a little bit, there's some ladies who prefer to be only in a women's environment. They feel more comfortable asking questions, and so we try to offer those opportunities.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I mean, we've had a few of those, and if there's a group of ladies that if you don't see one in your area and you have maybe a few ladies that would be interested in doing that, contact us. Or contact your state, and we can see about setting one up for you.
Great. And what about, we've got some experienced shooters following. What if they want to help out as an instructor? How would they go about applying to be an instructor for your staff?
We love to have new instructors join our team. And what we ask of instructors is that you come to at least 2 Project Appleseed events and qualify as what we call an expert rifleman, or shoot 210 out of 250 on the Appleseed qualification test. And then you can ask to become an instructor in training. And one of the things we're really proud of at Project Appleseed are the qualifications of our instructors. And I do want to say that everyone in the program is a volunteer. And so whenever you go to an event and someone's there, they're volunteering their time. We don't get paid. And so they feel that strongly about passing on what they've learned and about the history and heritage to share that with other people. And so we ask our instructors to go through a training that consists of about maybe 120 hours of independent study, and show proficiency in teaching all of the marksmanship aspects, but also proficiency in telling the history, telling the stories of Appleseed. And so we ask that you demonstrate that in front of students, and there's some written exams to go along with that. And I don't want that to sound intimidating, because all the the other instructors are there that help you train and support you and boost you up through that time. But we do expect our instructors to be proficient in their craft,
So
in all aspects of it.
I don't think that's intimidating at all. What I think is that shows a commitment to excellence. And I think most instructors would rather be held to a higher standard than a lower standard. I mean, you hear that all the time. If you've ever gone to a class that's super easy and you don't feel challenged, you walk away not feeling like you've given it your all. And so that's really impressive. So where do people go to find out more about Project Appleseed? And we'll put the link, but is it projectappleseed.org? What is
that? Will send you to a wonderful education site.
Oh,
so
well,
it's
not, where do you
it's appleseedinfo.org. appleseedinfo.org. Okay, and you can find on there's a menu bar across the top of our website, and it shows events. You can pull down that, and it shows a map of the United States, and you can click on a state that either you live in or you might be interested in visiting, and just see what the upcoming events are. And if there's not one scheduled in your area right now, we encourage you to come back and check the schedule later, or even send us a note. You can send us a note at info@appleseedinfo.org. and say, hey, is there anything coming up soon, or can you let someone know that I'm interested? We can't guarantee we'll schedule one, but if there's interest, we'll do our best to try to do that. I want to circle back to the instructor qualifications a bit. Part of the reason that we ask our instructors to go through this commitment is that we want you to have the same experience at an Appleseed, whether you are in Alabama, where I am, or in California, or in Washington State, or anywhere in the country. It's sort of like the fast food, the cookie cutter experience. We want you to get the same quality of experience and the same information that you get anywhere across the country.
That's so awesome.
I'm sorry. I know I missed. I apologize for. I got held up on another call, very important call. But you may have already done this, and you may haven't. So one of the things when I share about Appleseed, which is it's a passion of my husband and mine, we love to share about it, is that I tell people they're going to learn more than they ever expected. Right? They can split it out into the stories and the history. And they'll learn about rifle marksmanship. Any chance you can share one of those strikes with us?
I can tell you a little bit about the strikes. And one of the things that and I'll have to tell you, my background is science, and so I kind of suffered through history as a student, and I didn't appreciate it until I was much older. And so one of the questions you ask is, why was Paul Revere out on that night? Why was Paul Revere writing? And we hear about his story, and that's what you learn is what was going on. And the colonies didn't just wake up one day and decide that, oh, we're tired of the British. We don't want to be British citizens anymore. We're going to revolt and have our independence. Really, it was many, many years of oppressions brought about by the British. You remember that now. People came to the colonies because they were fairly independent minded anyway, right? They came here to get away from restrictions of their religion, and basically Britain had left the colonies alone for several generations, and we had become accustomed to governing ourselves. And after the French and Indian War, the British decided that they needed to recover some of the money that they had spent for protecting us, and levied taxes. And the Americans didn't like that because it was without representation. And so things built. And as the Americans, well, at that point, we weren't Americans, the colonists sort of pushed back against that. Then British came in and took over ruling. And in fact, the colonists had their own systems of government. And the British said, no, we don't like the way you're behaving over these taxes, so we're going to appoint our own governments. And that just didn't go very well. And so the tensions kept rising. And eventually, Britain decided that one way to control people is to take away their ability to fight back. And so they decided to try to take away firearms and gunpowder. And they managed to conduct a couple of raids. In fact, one of them was successful, where they took all of the gunpowder from a community. And the colonists decided, oh, you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And so they weren't going to let that happen anymore. And they organized themselves and had networks of spies so that they knew what the British were up to. And so on the night of April 18th, the colonists were warned that the British were coming. They had found out about some ammunition and arms in Concord, which was about 20 miles outside of Boston. And that was their mission that night. But Paul Revere and several other the spies learned about it first, and they went about warning the countryside. And so despite the fact that the British tried to conduct this raid in secrecy, by the time they had left Boston and hadn't even gotten to Lexington, which is, by the way, between Boston and Concord, there was absolutely no surprise. In fact, when the British arrived in Lexington, they found some colonists under Captain John Parker arranged on Lexington Green that day. And the colonists were there, and there was a long line of British troops. And the colonists decided at that point that they would not start the fight. That was part of the Sons of Liberty, the organization. They did not want to start the fight. And so they started dispersing. And then a shot rang out, and several of the colonists were killed on the green that day as they were dispersing. And can you imagine how angry that would make the colonists to be fired upon by their own troops? Because colonists didn't necessarily want to split with the British. They really wanted reconciliation, and throughout this time, they had tried many opportunities to appeal to Parliament that had just been unsuccessful. And so here the King's troops advanced on their own citizens and fired on them and killed them. And that was just so upsetting to the colonists. And that's sort of the first strike of the match. Now, the second strike of the match is how the British, instead of turning around at that point, after blood had been shed.
Don't tell them everything.
I'm not going to tell them everything, but I'm going to tell them that the British made a choice to proceed on to Concord, despite the fact that Paul Revere, and remember that Paul Revere was not by himself. Paul Revere was, and other writers that were with him, were out to sort of start a phone tree, as it were. They were out warning. They would go to a church, and that church would then send other people out, and they would ring bells, and you would see signal fires and hear shots ringing out. So the countryside was just swarming with colonists that were coming to the aid of Concord and Lexington at that time. So despite the fact that their mission had not gone well already, they continued into what we should probably consider at this point to be hostile territory. So I've told you about the first strike of the match. And the British are now in Lexington, and they're getting ready to go on to Concord, which is a much longer trip. And what's going to happen next? Come to an Appleseed, and we'll tell you all about it.
Exactly. Come to an Appleseed.
Don't do that to me.
No, Karen, I have to tell you, and I share when people say, well, what is Appleseed? I tell them one of the things that they're going to go away with, this feeling of being there through the monologues, and the monologues and stories throughout the weekend, or if it's a day event, are not just told as the three strikes. There are stories from the old, the young, males, females, families, single people, doctors, clergy, cooks, you name it. And you go away and you go home that night and you think, wait, those are the people that created this for me. So it's an incredible experience. Everyone should try it at least once. Now, you may have mentioned this. We're kind of over on time, so we've got to wrap it up. But Diana, did you talk about the age requirement? I mean, do you have to be 21 to come out to an Appleseed?
That's one thing we haven't talked about, is that for a rifle clinic, there is no age requirement. We are very family friendly, and all we ask of for youth is that they be mature enough to be safe with a firearm and to handle the instruction for the weekend. Or, like you said, we sometimes do day clinics. Now, that doesn't mean that we expect, a child to pay attention to everything all day long for 2 days. We understand. And in fact, a lot of times if I'm running an event and I know I have children, I'll have balloons in that I can put up as targets. And so they can shoot at balloons. And so they're, can enjoy their time and still be, benefit from it, but not feel the pressure of targets per se. And so we love to see families on the line. I love to see, parents and children and women. That's, again, like I say, we're friendly to everyone, and we love to see families come. And now for a pistol clinic, which you won't find many on the schedule yet because we're still in development, the age there is 21.
Sure. I was speaking specifically about the rifle clinic. And I've been on the line with Coke Guy and his team, and we've seen youngsters to grandparents and families, and it's educational, right? This is what's very important to note. Specifically in this time in our country where homeschooling has become a new norm, there's education that's happening on that line, both with safety and functionality and how to shoot rifle marksmanship, as well as the history of our country.
So
absolutely.
So, go ahead, Diana. I don't mean you're our guest. Go ahead.
No, I mean, but that is our goal. I mean, we teach what we consider to be a very strong, rifle marksmanship program. But our goal is really to get people on the line and hear the stories of our shared heritage. And so many times we just don't learn that in school, or we learn it when we're very young and it doesn't stick. And we want people to understand that. And really what we want people to do is to go away with a renewed, civic responsibility and be active in their communities. We had a war for independence, but our founders set us up with a government so that they hoped that we wouldn't have to have another war to maintain our independence. And they really wanted people to be active in that government. And that's what we encourage people. We don't tell people how to believe, but we say, please take part in this wonderful set of government that was set up for us.
Diana, I have to tell you, this has been really very good, and I'm slightly happy that Krista was preoccupied, because it let me be able to ask you quite a few questions to learn more about your organization that I'm not as familiar with as Krista is. And I'm going to tell you what has struck me here is your passion and Krista's passion that you can see come through for this great organization. So if we want to help, if we want to donate, if we want to be involved, we just need to go to appleseedinfo.org.
Yep,
and it will tell us everything that we need to do. So it seems to me, y'all, like we've got a really great program here that is always looking for great volunteers and instructors, is always looking for donations, and is always looking for participants. So I encourage you all. I'm going to my grandson. So we haven't put my grandson on a gun yet. And I am now, as I'm thinking about this is going to be the introduction for him. So he's 8. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to find a Project Appleseed, and I'm going to delay taking him myself, because I bet it will be better from somebody other than Grandma Whitecar to teach him. He'll probably listen a little more, honestly. But thank you very much for being here today. We have held our audience this whole entire time. And so your passion shows through in the fact that everybody wanted to stay and listen to what you were saying and talk about Project Appleseed. And we have a new name for Krista.
I saw that.
Santa or Mrs. Santa.
So I'm sure there's a Santa out there somewhere already at Appleseed.
Get the cookies out.
That's right. I love it.
So
I think it should
funny.
happen. We can make that happen before the day's over.
No, we don't. We'll have to have a conversation.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, Krista, do we have any admin things? I don't know that we pulled the winner.
We do.
We're behind. Oh, good.
Yes. So Monday. Thank you, Diana. I have to thank you. That's a personal thank you from me, because you know how much I'm passionate about the program. I'm so glad you were able to join us. Monday, we had How to Rack a Slide, and our winner's name is Annalise Easton. Annalise Easton. So I'll reach out to you, get your address and information, and we'll send you a Shoot Like a Girl swag bag. For all of you that are watching today, like, comment, and share to be eligible to win also a Shoot Like a Girl swag bag. And maybe I might be able to come across an Appleseed t-shirt somewhere to add to that giveaway. Fantastic.
Right? Yes,
we can make that happen. We can make that happen. Now, of course, in order to get a blue or orange hat, you'd have to go out and participate in a clinic. And I recommend that you do that. They also have this really, really great patch, which if I were not sitting in my kitchen, I could show it to, are you going to show yours? Yes, I
Look,
have one.
we even have a purple one.
I have a purple rifleman patch. I absolutely love it. That was
Yes.
because I did finally, after lots of work, shoot my qualification score of higher than 210 out of the 250. You can do it too. Everyone can do it. It's not
Yes.
for the experienced shooter. Yep, that's it right there.
There we
There's the
go.
qualification. There's our target. It's so awesome. There's so many things about it. So find an Appleseed. Remember, like, comment, and share to win a swag bag. It is Friday. We will see you Monday. Monday, we're having Claudia Chisholm with Gun Toting Mamas, and she is going to talk to us. Oh, look, I have a person listening in the other room. Look what he brought me.
Oh, look at that. Awesome.
Claudia will be talking to us about how to measure for the correct carry, a concealed carry purse, right? So you may have a firearm already and you may be trying to decide, how do I determine what purse it will fit in or what it won't? She'll be here to join us and tell us how to do that. So thank you. Karen, you're on mute. Karen, you are on mute.
I got it. Thanks. It's because my dogs are barking like crazy. The puppies are going nutso. I just wanted to say again, thanks, Diana. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Be safe out there. Stay safe. One last final word. We announced officially that restrictions removed provided Shoot Like a Girl is planning to hit the road in June. We will be in Montana and Missoula on June 6th and 7th, and then following that the next weekend in Post Falls, Idaho, provided those states lift their restrictions, which we feel confident by then they will. And we're real excited to get on the road. We have implemented some new protocols, and we'll have a special Facebook Live to tell everybody what those protocols are and how we're doing. But we are so excited to get on the road. I can't wait. So pray that we keep going down in results, and for all those that are sick or suffering, loss, or dealing with this, our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers are with all of you. And we know that it's tough for families that are experiencing loss right now. So just a side note, we really do wish everyone the best in our true, genuine hearts, that you all find peace, that you enjoy the great outdoors this weekend. And any final thoughts, Diana, before we go?
Just, again, love to see everybody out at Project Appleseed, and excited to see you.
Great. Krista, anything?
Nope. Y'all have a great weekend.
Bye,
See you
everybody.
Monday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.